This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Okay, main goal for today is to get the BMW M4 on the road. I need a car now because the Golf R has just been dropped off to Matt, who won it for £15. So I need this. Now the M4 has came such a long way since I bought it. I'm finding out that it had a gaping hole in the sump, but we know the engine runs up to temperature, but I haven't really tested it out on the road yet. Now it's not taxed and it has no MOT, so we need to get that done by the end of this video to get it out on the road. Which means I need to get the M4 in the ramp, and in the ramp at the minute is this mess of a 140i, which I bought in the video in the top right hand corner. It is still an absolute mess on the interior of this thing, but we're going to crack on with that in a future video because I need to get this M4 running. But I'm not going to be getting in this thing with a fresh cappuccino hoodie on. Check these out. The new hoodies, they're really thick, they're oversized, and of course we've got the cappuccino print on the front because we're going to be handing plenty of cappuccinos out in the M4 and the 140i once it's fixed. Right, let's get this thing out. Now a lot of you guys who watched the 140 video are saying that this dust could actually be fire extinguisher dust, which could be true, and apparently if you set it off in a car it covers your fingerprints over time, but it can mess with the electrical stuff, so we need to get this stuff cleaned as soon as possible. I'm still unsure what it could be. I know the police use it for fingerprint dust as well, but it seems like an excess amount. I mean, do police really want to try and get fingerprints from the back of the dashboard? I don't know, but yeah, well, it's definitely not drugs, we know that. And of course it has no exhaust still. Now, one thing that I was struggling with on the BMW M4 was the power steering. Since changing the subframe and a full new power steering rack because it was absolutely trashed, the steering just didn't seem to work. It didn't seem to like the new power steering rack, and I was kind of thinking, am I going to have to buy another one? But a lot of you guys were saying it needs code into the car. A lot of people messaged me on Instagram saying that they can do this, but I've got to drive the car to them. Obviously, I can't drive the car with no power steering, but luckily Z-Coding were able to do it remotely. I just sat there, plugged in my laptop to the car, and they did the whole thing from their end, and check it out, we have now got power steering, yes, but there's more faults we need to get on with. Okay, so the first thing that we need to fix, which seems to be becoming a reoccurring thing on this channel, is the headlights. I bought BMW M3 headlights of a 2018 model. This is a 2016 model. The pins are completely different. It needs repinning and coding, and well, it's a right headache. So guess what? I bought brand new second-hand headlights for the M4. Now this is the exact same part number that came off the BMW, so I should just learn from my mistakes and do that every time because we had that issue with the Golf. Now, hopefully, these will just plug and play and work. If they don't, we're in big trouble. Let's get fitting them. Okay, so for the two used headlights, which I got off eBay, they cost me £850, which I didn't actually think was that bad, bearing in mind the Golf R ones cost me £1,200. To fit them, I have to take the bumper off, which we've taken off 1,000,001 times already, so we got it off pretty quick. I wanted to plug in the new ones and test them out before fitting everything back together. Okay, we've came to that point. We're gonna try one. Let's see if it works. If it don't, we're in big trouble because the MOT test is tomorrow. Please let this work. Come on. Oh, I can hear something. Yes! Come on! Have we got full beat? Yes! Indicate. Yes, I can see. Come on! What a winner. Time to put the passenger side in and fit everything back together. Right, two headlights in and ready. Let's just double check the work. We'll get the bumper on and we'll crack on with the other stuff. Come on. Right light, yes. Left light, yes. Yes. We're in business. So we're making some good progress on the BMW M4, but something that's lurking in the background still is the BMW 140i, which I bought, and I still think it's got a bit of hidden history, and we're not quite sure exactly what happened yet. But one thing that I do know is that this was stolen and then recovered. I can't imagine what it would feel like just to have your pride and joy stolen just like that. And although I do have all of these crazy cars, my pride and joy is this YouTube channel. It's my job. It's the thing I do every single day, and to have that stolen from me, I'd be distraught. Which is why I use Surfshark to protect it.
He's right. Did you know that public Wi-Fi is a goldmine for hackers?
That's true, but when using Surfshark, you're safe. That's because Surfshark is a VPN tool, which stands for Virtual Private Network. This means that it encrypts all the data sent via the internet, so no one can steal your passwords, steal your videos, view your private messages, or see what you're doing online. So whenever I'm online, I use Surfshark just to protect myself. And that's not the only thing it can do. Check this out. So if you're completing Netflix like myself and you can't find anything else good to watch, check this out. I want to watch the film Joker, but it's not available in the UK. So I go to Surfshark in the top right hand corner, change my browsing location to the Netherlands, go back onto Netflix, search again for the film, and hello, it's there to watch. So to get Surfshark today, click the link in the description box below, use code Matt Armstrong, and you'll get yourself 83% off, plus an extra 3 months for free. Thanks, Surfshark. Okay, the headlights are out the way, but the M4 is still a little rough around the edges. We've got to put the bumper back on. I also have this carbon strut brace, which has damage on the front, but it seems a shame to replace the whole thing just for that small bit of damage on the front, as these are quite expensive. We've got to put all the engine trims back on. And then we give them a nice spray with the SILISHINE to clean it all up. It's actually starting to look pretty nice. Now under the car, the exhaust is still squashed because of that forklift, but we'll replace that soon. And now we know neither of the sumps are leaking, we can put back on this under tray. Okay, so the M4 is about as put together as it can be now. I'm getting excited to drive it and nervous at the same time. We know that the engine's kind of okay on standstill, but we never really drove it on the road and even got it out of first or second gear, so I don't exactly know what that's going to be like. There's still a few things that we're missing. Obviously the front arch lining, and obviously the wings are still satin black. I still don't know which colour to go for it. Let me know in the comment section below. But our main priority now is to get the M4 through its MOT test. If you're watching this and you're not in the UK, an MOT test is a test a car has to carry out each year to prove it's worthy for the road. No reason why this thing shouldn't pass, but well, we don't want to jinx it. One thing the M4 is going to need to pass an MOT is number plates. We got these from UMR Plates, and if you need any number plates, there's a link in the description for them with a discount code as well. Let's get these on, and then let's get the M4 out and get the first drive on the road. Come on.
Go and try your luck. Test me in again, we let it rain. Please don't start us up. Got that black and white, that yin and yang. Mr. Officer, please don't search us, we don't got a thing. Tell her park it up, then that ass be poking out them jeans. I've been sparking up like the fireworks, I keep the flame.
Okay, so here we go, my first drive in the M4. My first drive in any M4. This is the first time I've actually got it out of second gear. I hope the gearbox and engine is all okay. We're only going a couple miles down the road to the MOT test centre because obviously we have no MOT or tax, but we are allowed to drive it to the MOT testing centre. Then we can legally be on the road. Come on, M4. Obviously I've just whacked on that front end. The tracking is horrendous at the minute. Steering's off to the right, it's trying to pull to the left, but when you find out what modification we're about to do, you'll realise why that doesn't matter yet. Sounds quite nice. And I arrived at the MOT test centre, where we used to work. But there'll be no special favours done here. This needs to get through legitimately. First check is to test the emissions. Then over onto the front brakes. And then the rear brakes. It then goes in the ramp to check for any defects underneath the car, like your bushes or any leaks. And fingers crossed the car should be okay. And yes, it passed. Yes, never doubted her at all. Now, time to tax it. 9 times out of 10 when you buy a crash damaged car, it doesn't come with a logbook, so you can't necessarily tax it straight away, but if you head to the post office, they'll be able to tax it for you. The reason I couldn't tax it before that was because obviously it didn't have an MOT. So let's get it taxed, then we can start the first modification. Let's go. Well, what are these here, you ask? Well, they're not coilovers, they're not air ride, And, well, in a way, they're not lowering springs. You've got a few options with the M4. One is coilovers. Coilovers are obviously adjustable up and down, and you get the damper as well with it. But you're looking at around £2,000 for a half decent coilover for the M4. That's because it's got adaptive suspension control. So when you put it in sport mode, it gets harder. When you put it in comfort mode, it gets softer. Another option you have with the M4 is lowering springs. People tend to go for either I-back or H&R, but I've seen I-back and H&R, and although people say it does make it drive better, it doesn't necessarily look much different, only lowering it really about 15 to 10 mil. But then you have these. These are called MSS springs. I've never used them before, but I'm happy to give them a go at least once. Now what these are basically are an adjustable spring, so it's your sort of happy medium between your lowering spring and your coilover. I can keep them on the standard dampers, so I've still got the sport mode where it stiffens up and the comfort mode where it softens. And I can also adjust the ride height with them as well. No idea what they're going to be like, never used them before, but let's get them fitted. So wheel off first, then we're going to disconnect all the electrical connectors connecting to the damper. There's a pinch bolt on the bottom and then the anti-roll bar bolt which needs to be undone. Then we connect the wheel hub from the damper. We've got to get to the bolts at the top of the strut, which means removing all these trims and plastics which we fitted at the start of the video. And we have to take off the carbon strut brace as well. This wasn't necessarily difficult, it was just really time consuming as there's loads of bolts to undo. Now you should use spring compressors when taking off a spring, but I'm ruthless, so I just undid the top nut and let it fly. We have to take off all the plastic off the stock damper and replace it with the new kit. We've got the adjuster on the bottom which can wind up to higher the car and wind down to lower the car. It's got a new bump stop, and then the original top mounts can go onto the strut as well. I've got the adjuster set to the lowest, which should lower the car by 30 mil. But as mentioned, it can be higher at any point. And then just do the whole thing in reverse. Looking nice. I finished the front off with some 12mm spacers, which should give it a nice stance. These springs and spacers are available from Malibu Performance, the link is in the description. Then it's time to move on to the rear. We're going to pop off the height adjuster for the headlights. Then all we have to undo is 2 bolts. One for the lower arm and one for the damper. Then the spring will just pull out. In goes the new springs. We've got a smaller spring on the bottom, then the adjuster, and then the bigger spring on the top. And again, same thing, but in reverse. On the rear, I've finished them with 15mm spacers for a little bit wider stance at the back. Right, MSS springs installed and wheel spacers installed as well. I tell you what, sometimes when you're watching these videos it looks easy, but that was an absolute graft, and especially in this weather as well. It is really hot. Right, let's get this thing down and out and see if it's improved the stance of the car and also the handling as well. Let's get it outside. And that is sitting pretty much perfect. I'm so happy with that. It looks 10 times better just with the lowering. Obviously on the front, we've gone for the lowest possible, and that sits almost perfect. I wouldn't want that any lower or any higher. It sits perfect on the 20-inch alloys. On the rear, I think it sits a little bit higher than the front, but it should do. Rear wheel drive, you can get a bit of a squat when you accelerate anyway, and well, we can still lower it down even more. That's the beauty of having those adjustable springs. So yeah, thumbs up for them. We'll have to see what it drives like to get the full sort of review about it. And then obviously with the wheel spacers as well, we've got 12mm on the front, which is, well, probably could have got away with 15 on the front, but it still does sit nice. And then 15mm on the rear. Absolutely perfect. So shout out to Malibu Performance for the springs and the spacers. If you guys want to check them out, link is in the description. So all in all, a productive day on the BMW M4 and a productive video. I'm about to go see what these adjustable springs drive like on the road. But again, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.